Welcome to my new series where you will watch me create a country pop beat from start to finish. This includes writing the song, producing the song, mixing, and mastering. I have over 6 hours of raw footage documenting every single step of me making the song. And I have edited that down into a series of videos that will showcase my process in detail, step by step. Hi, I'm Joshua DeLima. I'm a songwriter and producer with over a decade of experience. Feel free to subscribe if you want to follow my work. And if you want to learn how to produce a track like the one that's playing right now, well, stay tuned. Part 1's about to begin. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Today I want to try something new. I'm going to be making a beat from scratch, so if you want to follow along, I'm going to show you everything. I really don't know what's going to happen. I really don't have any ideas right now. I think I got a chord progression in mind, but that's about it. I don't even have the tempo or anything. So I have the camera set up, I have my screen cap going, I'll grab my guitars and we'll see what happens. I'm thinking it's going to be kind of a folk country vibe, so let's see how that turns out. I'm just going to do some acoustic guitar to begin. And I'll start writing, see what I come up with. Maybe E, I'm just going to pick a random capo, maybe something here. Yeah, maybe an E here, to 6 minor, to 3 minor, to 4 major. But what tempo do we want, I guess, is the next question. All right, so we'll try that. Nothing fancy, super simple, super basic. So what I'm going to do is I'm using my AKG 414 or 414, and I'm just going to do kind of an off-axis alignment here on my guitar. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just kind of looking at the hole, but not over the hole. So now I'm going to find my input, insert new audio track. And I think it's number 3. Check 1, check 2, check 1, check 2. What I like to do is I like to turn off monitoring, and I'll go over to my Focusrite software here, and I want to monitor in my headphones, line 3. So now I can hear myself without going through my DAW, so there's no latency. So first I need like a tempo. So what was I doing before? Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 4. I don't think that was the tempo. That was probably way too fast, but let's hear how it sounds. So my general structure of how I'm going to do this is I'm going to do 3 separate sections. I'm going to do the same chord progression. I'm going to keep it stupid simple, but I'm just going to kind of change the energy levels or the picking patterns in the rhythm. So I'm going to start doing, I'm going to use those same 4 chords. I'm going to do it in 3 different ways, and I'll show you my techniques on how to get that going. All right, so I got my loop. So I'm going to start on my first section here. So I'm just going to bracket out that. And I'm going to hit record. All right, so I like to record 2 takes so I can do stereo panning stuff with it. So let's figure out where this is going. So that's the loop right there. So I'm just going to click and drag it down. And I'm going to drag the other one down. So right here we have pretty much a stereo take lane that I just made. So what I'm going to do is left, right, and let's see how it sounds together. So next I'm just looking at the transients here. And later what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these up so they're pretty much exactly in line. So that's our first section. And we're going to move on to our next section. I'm just going to play the metronome and maybe find a different picking pattern or something different. That might be too much. Maybe let's get rid of the capo on this one. And maybe we do, so it's E. All right, I think I got something. So let me hit record.
One thing I wanted to mention is just notice how my mic is not directly over the hole. There's this thing called the proximity effect, where if you get your mic too close to the guitar hole, it's going to sound really bassy and just gross and unusable. So rule of thumb is I like to point it at my 12th fret and sometimes angle it in a little bit, but just experiment, see what sounds good to you.
All right, I think I got it there. All right, so now I'm just going to, do the thing, drag it down. All right, let's take a listen. Let's look at the transients. All right, never forget to save your project. I'm just going to call this Country Beat. Cool. All right, so now we're going to do our third take. I think I'm just going to do one strums here. All right, so I didn't like the timbre of the last A strum, so I just did it again, and I'm just going to take it like this, and I'm just going to overlap it like that. And now we're going to do our editing, like this, like that. And it's okay to chop the head off because I'm going to come in and blend them. And honestly, these, I don't know how much blending is going to be, but I'm going to do it anyway, so I'm just going to blend them in like that. Okay, so now we have three parts. Let me just color code them. We got a yellow, we got a green, we got a blue. So my philosophy when it comes to tracking instruments is to spend more time at the microphone than at the computer editing. Do as many takes as you need. It's better to spend the extra 10 minutes playing the same thing over and over again than it is to spend the 10 minutes trying to edit it to make it sound right. It's just going to sound cleaner and more tight that way. And when it comes to editing, it's going to be way easier, and it's just going to be a way better product overall. But right now, we're going to dive into editing, and I'll show you what that looks like. So when it comes to editing, what I do is I like to click into the top track. I'm going to Control A, Control I, and those are going to insert warp markers. I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom one, Control A, Control I. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through these transients and try to line them up the best that I can. So I just like to line them up, and I just kind of eyeball which ones I want to line up to where. Sometimes some are late, sometimes some are early, that's fine. I just want to preserve the performance as much as possible while getting the transients lined up.
So my goal here is not to quantize it to the grid. I'm actually trying to line up the transients with each other because we have two takes, one's panned left, one's panned right, and we're trying to mimic a stereo guitar recording where you have two mics recording the same guitar. I'm trying to make the sound as if it was one guitar. And there are going to be instances where both transients are wildly off grid and you're going to have to make a judgment call on if you want to nudge that closer. But the overall goal is to preserve the performance as much as possible. And like I said at the beginning, make sure you spend more time at the microphone getting the right performance, and then this task becomes a whole lot easier.
Right here. So this one's going to bring back a little. And this one I'm going to bring back a little here. So that's on beat there. And sometimes you get a meet in the middle.
Just a side note, I tend to be biased on bringing the transient behind the grid a little bit. That kind of adds more of a natural swing to it rather than leaving it slightly ahead, which sometimes isn't the right move. But do this all by feel and trust your instincts on that. I know this task seems tedious, and it is, but you can get faster at it with practice. I found that throughout my years, it tends to be worth it spending the extra time to get that polished track, and when you see the before and after, you'll be able to hear the difference.
Here. You can also do this in the new Ableton, so it's easier. Let me bring this one back. I bring this one also back a little bit. This one, so I'm going to bring forward. Just a little bit. I'll bring this one back a little bit. Those all look pretty good, except for this one might be off a little bit. All right, final take here. Let's take a listen. I'll turn the metronome off.
Listen how clean and tight this guitar now sounds. There's no flams between the individual takes that usually cause distractions and make it sound messy.
Perfect.
I'll spare you the editing here, but I did go in and clean up the other takes that we did. So all I'm doing on this third section is I'm coming in and I am deleting the finger noise on that one strum, and then I'm just fading it out to keep it clean.
All right, so now we got our 3 parts. Let's mix this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group them, and then I'm going to go glue compressor to start. We'll go around 5 dBs. I'm going to go a little slower on the attack to let some of those transients pop through. I'm going to go quick on the release.
So when it comes to mixing in the early stages like this, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. My goal here is to make broad strokes with, compression and EQ that's going to allow the mix to be decent enough to progress forward.
And I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to manually level these down a little bit. Like that.
So here I'm just trying to level out the transients so they're all kind of peaking around the same level. This is going to make your compressor's job much easier.
I think this can come down. My goal here is to keep everything as consistent as possible. All right, so just a little bit there, and then also what I'm gonna do is do a little EQ. And with guitars, I'm probably gonna end up cutting most of this low end out, especially this acoustic guitar, but I'm just gonna drop this a little bit here. All right, we'll see once we add bass how that's going to sound. But next we're going to get a couple different drum beats going.
Well, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you learned something. If you're interested in watching the next part, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you will be notified as soon as the next one is released. Thank you.